What's something that sounds fake but actually happened to you? When I was a kid, the safety equipment failed on a carnival ride, and I was launched off and hit the barrier surrounding it. The ride operator couldn't open his ticket lockbox, and he couldn't get his supervisor over the radio, so I didn't even get a refund. Walked away without even a bruise. When and where was this? Sounds like a lawsuit. 1990 in Shorewood, Illinois. Didn't even cross my parents' minds to call a lawyer. I was born early while my family was on a car camping trip to a remote piece of land we owned. I was her third child and labor came on quickly. Due to unexpected rain, it was very difficult to get us all back up the muddy hill to civilization. No cell phones. My dad and sister delivered me with my mom sitting in a creek. My engineer dad clamped the umbilical cord with hose clamps and cut the umbilical cord with a pair of wire cutters from his toolbox. They toweled me off and I immediately started breastfeeding. All was good. My dad left the three of us there and walked out to the nearest road and eventually flagged down a car who called an ambulance. Meanwhile, my 6-year-old sister helped my mom deliver the afterbirth by lantern light and took care of my mom. The firemen and paramedics eventually arrived, extracted us, and took us to the hospital. My birth certificate actually has the date that we got to the hospital, and not the day I was actually born. There are lots of ways this could have gone bad, but everything went as well as could be expected given that I was born in a creek, assisted by my dad and 6-year-old sister. A friend and I were walking around San Francisco, and at a corner, waiting for the light to change, realized the guy in the wheelchair next to us was Stephen Hawking. My buddy immediately began to fangirl out hard. He lied about A Brief History of Time being his favorite book, spewed a bunch of gibberish to try and sound smart, and said it was a pleasure to meet him like a dozen times, all in the short span before the crosswalk light changed. At which point Hawking stopped my friend and with his robot voice simply replied, "Oh, I bet you say that to all the theoretical physicists." Then he rolled away. I had to take my neighbor to the hospital when I was 17 because his dog shot him in the shoulder. He was out doing target practice with a hunting rifle and had it propped up against the rail. His dog was having epic zoomies and knocked into the gun, and it ended firing him and hitting him squarely in the shoulder blade. If I hadn't been doing yard for him for some extra money, no person would have believed it, LOL. But yes, he was shot by a blue-tick coonhound. In graduate school, my grant required me to be a teaching assistant for a year. For my first assignment, on the first day of class, the professor introduced me to the class and explained that I was to be respected as a learned scholar, and I was not there to do any type of menial tasks. Not 2 minutes later, he asked me to fetch him some ice water. I thought for a second that it was some sort of test, and I was supposed to refuse, but he was serious. I had never been in that building before, so I have no idea where to find ice. I am going down the hallway when I see a guy come out of an office. I say, "Hey, do you know where I can find ice around here?" He says that there is a break room nearby that has ice. Then he asks, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "Yeah, you are the guy who knows where to find ice." And I gave him double finger guns. Well, it turns out that he was a leading world expert on economic theory and was put off by my casual attitude. My defense for the slight was that I was a philosophy graduate student, and his particular social value measurement at the time, as far as I was concerned, related to his knowledge of the location of ice. Then he just tilted his head and said, and walked away. I hired a new employee who had a very similar resume as me, but 10 to 15 years younger. We got to talking about our parents in the office, and she shared her parents met at the same college my mom played basketball at. When I mentioned that, she said her mom played basketball there too. Turns out our moms were college teammates 40 years ago. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like.